Here at Capcom Gamers Day, we're talking about the campaign mode for Operation Raccoon City. So we've shown off the prologue, sort of the setting for the story and the background of why there's an outbreak in Raccoon City and what your objective is there as the Umbrella Security Service. A lot of fans and a lot of critics have been asking for a fully fledged TPS Resident Evil for a while, and this is sort of an answer to that. We're still going to try to scare you, we're still going to try to surprise you. We've got a lot of moody, slower paced level as well as a higher octane boss battle and levels in Raccoon City. This is the first time Resident Evil's been developed outside of Japan. We're working with Slant 6 in Vancouver, and they've brought a lot to the table in terms of their experience with the third-person shooter genre and all their online tech and their unique proprietary engine. The level that we showed this morning was the prologue for the game. It explains why there was an outbreak in Raccoon City, and it's you infiltrating the Umbrella facility where a rogue scientist, William Birkin, has decided he's going to sell this newfangled G virus that they developed to the US government. And your mission is to go in there and retrieve it. Well, after you retrieve it, he actually injects himself with the last remaining sample of the G virus and turns into this huge creature with an eye on his arm and rips out a pipe out of the wall and starts chasing your team, right? And so your team has no idea how to deal with this. This is the first time you've ever seen the G virus. Play any combination of 1 to 4 players. You can play with just one friend if you want to play 2-player with 2 AI companions, or you can play 1 player with 3 AI companions. There's also a squad system where if you want to group with your friends and then look for a random partner, you can do that as well. The way the progression and checkpoint system works is if you're playing with other folks, then all of you have to die before it's a game over. You can actually revive each other if you'd like. There are 6 different classes, so you can play as any combination of 4 of those classes, whether it be in campaign or the competitive multiplayer. So we've added a lot of differentiation to each of the individual characters and then said you can now put those in combinations of 4. And not only does that change sort of the gameplay tactics, but it changes some of the cinematics, some of the story, the dialogue, as well as you progress through campaign mode. There's 6 different soldier classes that you can play as the USS, the Umbrella Security Service. There is a recon class, a assault class, demolitions class, medic, field scientist, and surveillance. And they all have sort of standard default abilities or effects or reasons to choose them to begin with, as well as a suite of passive and active abilities. Things like medic can carry more first aid sprays, more antiviral sprays. Surveillance class gets more information on the mini-map. They can see where items are placed in the environment, whereas someone like the recon class Vector will make less noise as they walk around and maybe not show up on somebody's mini-map in multiplayer. And those are all things that once you unlock them, once you upgrade them, you don't have to think about, right? And it just automatically feeds into that class if you're playing as them. We're going out on a limb in a lot of different ways here. I mean, not only the gameplay, but as well as playing as the bad guys for the first time. We're playing around with a cannon, right? So we're going back to Resident Evil 2 and 3, and you can kind of choose to stay behind the scenes and not interrupt what happened during Resident Evil 2 and 3. And we'll also present you with interesting situations as, like whether or not you want to kill Leon, forever changing the history of the Resident Evil timeline. When we set out to make Operation Raccoon City and we decided that we were going to play as the bad guys this time around, we wanted to put a lot of grit and a lot of that darkness back into the series that, was starting to bleed out of it a little bit, or at least, in recent history, Resident Evil 5 having a lot of daylight levels, right? A lot of brighter sort of colors in it. And so we wanted to put the dirt, the grit, the darkness back into the game. And while it provides an interesting sort of set of artistic problems to solve, we think adds to just sort of the overall, kind of dark and nefarious tone of the fiction as well. And again, we're not trying to abandon survival horror either. We have some slower pace, more atmospheric levels. We have some scares in there, as well as, the full throttle action that I think, TPS and action gamers expect out of any TPS worth its salt nowadays.
What are these things? Jesus.
Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City comes out early 2012 on PS3, 360, and PC.